the surrounding green, freshness, sweetness, happiness that the surrounding green. Take care of the nature before it takes care of you. Ooh, take care of the nature before it takes care of you.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Earth Check. My name is Anne Mashari, and today's topic, our focus is on climate change. I know most of you at home are asking, what is climate change? Well, sit back and relax because the guest I have today will expound on more. Many thanks for joining us. Just a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
My name is Felix Omondi. I'm currently a student at Mount Kenya University. More of that, I'm a model at Team Environment Kenya, representing field models, and I'm here through your invitation to speak on climate change.
Okay, someone might argue you've majored on finance, but now you're talking about environment. How does that correlate?
My love for environment pushed me as being an environmentalist. That's why I'm a bona fide member of Team Environment Kenya. And through our success, we have been able to tour several counties. I think the next one is Embu, and we are trying to change the environment for better living of every individual in this country.
All right, so last week we've seen protests all over. You know, you have Greta, who made a speech at the United Nations General Assembly on Climate Summit. And is the issue of climate change a big deal?
Yeah, according to my perspective, it is a big deal because it's affecting every individual. And once there is climate change, I'll say it affects the economy, it affects the agriculture, and these two things cater one-on-one together. As the citizens of this country, they affect us directly or indirectly.
When you talk about the effects, what are we talking about?
When we talk about the effect of climate change, we'll say that as Kenya, one of the core factors that push the Kenyan economy, you have to say, is agriculture. Once there is climate change, it directly affects farmers. And according to what climate change is the change in pattern of the environment and the climate. And agriculture, by these farmers, the expecting period of harvesting, planting is affected by climate change. I'll say that according to my statistics, the statistics I did before, in the 1960s, the country was 12% was covered with trees, and that by that time, I'll say that the exports of tea and coffee were high. The farmers, first of all, I'll say that highly affected with climate change in situations where, let me say, the harvesting period, the planting period, this causes drought. Otherwise, there's flooding. There is also a lot of confusion in the harvesting period. Hence, you find that Kenya is even pushed to an extent where it's even importing maize, which was not our culture before. This, as a result, this is causing malnutrition to children. This is also causing a lot of the wildlife and the let me say there is a lot of commotion between the wildlife and the people, because you find the human wildlife conflict, where you find that even the wildlife come from the forest and come and start grabbing the little that people already have. This is why I'm saying the climate change should seriously be considered in Kenya. Otherwise, there is also this where the climate change, it's also affecting in the tourism sector. The tourism sector, for example, there was this annual movement of wild beasts in the Transmara. Yeah. So I'll say, due to this climate change, this movement of wild beasts used to attract the tourists. And you know, the tourists is all contributing a lot of percentage to the Kenyan economy. And for now, let me say there is a low level of the flowing of the river. Hence, the wild beasts cannot come from Kenya to Tanzania. I'll say that there's also this climate change, hence increasing the increase in temperatures, causing the melting of glaciers in the Mount Kenya. Once we consider all these, we'll say that one, there is tourism, two, there is agriculture, three, there is infrastructure. These three things, they are the core things that push the Kenyan economy. Once they drop, I'll say that the Kenyan economy is totally done. Yeah, that's according to me. Unless there is some impact that should be made in the climate change. It's not only negative, but it's also positive in some other sectors. This climate change, for example, there's rising temperatures, there's drop in temperatures. Yeah, I think it's affecting us both negatively and positively, but the bigger part of it is negative to our economy.
All right, you talk about the immigration that is in Masai Mara. That's one. Yeah, that's one thing, because we have a forest like Mau Forest. The Masai Mara River really depends on Mau Forest. So, but you know, we as Kenyans have made it a routine to grab the land and, you know, cut down trees. So it's affecting downstream. So when we tamper with upstream, downstream is, you know, it's also affected. But you've talked about so many things: global warming, the climate change, agriculture sector. These are just some of the areas in which, if we don't get to see or get keen about, probably we are doomed in the next few years. Is there something we can do?
Yeah, first of all these are as a result of a lot of illiteracy. The first thing we have to do as people is educating people on the importance of keeping the environment. For the love of the trees, first of all, the climate change is brought by, let me say, the beauty of the environment. It's our beauty that keeps us going and accept the changes that are made. For example, let me say, there is the movement of people from Mau. It faced a lot of, let me say, very many people opposed it, but I fully support it. If they can't move the people genuinely, or let me say, the people are not willing to move from Mau Forest, we have to agree that Mau Forest, first of all, is a water catchment area, and very many rivers originate from Mau Forest. That's something we have to consider before everything. So, for the love of our environment, even if it's to an extent of pushing people away from Mau Forest, let's do it. Let's do it.
Freshness, sweetness, happiness to the surrounding breeze. Freshness, sweetness, happiness to the surrounding breeze. Take care.
When it comes to matters climate change, this is an issue that all environmental stakeholders are conversing, and the latest climate change summit hit the headlines as leaders committed to climate change action. Well, what did they say? What can we do? This and much more after the break.
Freshness, sweetness, happiness to the surrounding breeze. Freshness, sweetness, happiness to the surrounding breeze.
Welcome back. As I had told you there before, you have a role to play when it comes to issues environmental, and climate change is one of them. Remember, Felix is here to expound on the climate adaptation measures as well as where Kenya is at in terms of environmental conservation and global warming. and the balance of intergenerational equity. But of course, as we progress, we also have adaptation measures, like climate adaptation strategies, in that we can adapt to the growth of plants that are climate resilient. You know, in areas like Marsabit, Wajir, just to mention a few. Is this a way, or can we be able to sustain that?
Yes, we can. For example, let me say, you cannot expect me to take a tree like eucalyptus to Marsabit. That is something that it's almost impossible for it to survive there. You cannot expect me to take a tree like Gravelia to Marsabit. It's almost impossible. First of all, we have to do very many research on the plants that can adapt in a certain environment. It's not all about just doing it. First of all, the government really needs to fund these small initiatives. It's very painful as a country if personal organizations come up just to curb the environment challenges we have as a country. It has come to an extent where even, let me say, someone is an environmentalist, and once he or she is already exposed, it's barely even a year, and you will realize that the other countries come and fund the person, and the person is already out of the country. The person is already having a scholarship to other countries. These things are really affecting us as a country, because you can't see directly or indirectly. That's one. This one individual who is taken away for scholarship as an environmentalist, it's really hard for us. I'll say we have to start considering everything as a person. You cannot continue saying that there are environmental challenges if you as a person, you have not even planted one tree. There are very many initiatives. Even recently there was an initiative moved by Team Environment Kenya, where you are to plant your age. Let me say I'm 20, I plant 20 trees. I'm 30, I plant 30 trees. These small initiatives have to be funded by the government. Those are the only ways that we can go ahead to curbing this climate change as a country.
In terms of climate change, Kenya is lagging behind.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen Team Environment Kenya is one of the, you know, groups that I've seen champion for environmental advocacy and all that stuff. Where are we at? Can we improve?
I'll say yes, we have a better chance of improving as a country. First of all, if we really stop ignoring things, the ignorance in Kenyans is going to kill us as a country. You cut down one tree, I'm in Thika, you cut down another tree, you're in Embu, you cut down another tree, you're in KU. You as an individual, you'll be cutting down one tree, but as a country, several trees are down. That's what's killing us. That's why you see that from 1960s to now, the percentage has reduced drastically from 12% to 2%. An increase in temperature, even with a half a degree, is going to affect a lot of Kenyans, and let me say the whole world, or the whole country is seriously affected with this, and this is caused by the global warming stuff. As I said, the adaptation measures that we're still touching on the adaptation measures as a country. Second of all, I was saying about doing more research from the other country, from the other organizations. Organizations have to link up together. Let me say Team Environment Kenya is specifically for the environment. There is a specific organization for doing the research. Let's research on the kind of trees that can survive in Marsabit. Let's research on the kind of trees that can survive in Moyale. These are the places that are going to kill us. The perfection of all these places, the little that we have, let me say the central region, it used to be one of the biggest provinces with the highest vegetation cover. Now it's seriously reducing to zero. Let me say that. The research really needs to be done as a country. I'll say that. Yeah.
All right. So we need more research, we need more monitoring, and let's talk about sustainable development. And climate change too, sorry, is in the SDGs at 2030, and it was in the Millennium Development Goals. Still, we are yet to be there. But what can we do apart from creating awareness, and changing the mindset, because that's where it starts from. Can we do more?
Yes, we can. First of all, after creating awareness, the ignorance has to be taken down. It's the high time we take action. Let's stop talking and take action. There are several acts that have been placed in parliaments, yet you see them act for like, let me say 2 months they're in act, but in the next 2 months they're not there. If it's action, let's take it from where it is to the last end. I'll say that. Secondly, first of all, if something is going to affect the whole country, we have to look into it. Not only as an individual. You'll burn the charcoal to send your child to school, but you don't know the effect of that charcoal to the country. So most of the things that happen are due to ignorance in this country. Very many people fear pointing hands to the wrong person. They really fear pointing hands to the wrong person because that is where they are from. Very many dignitaries have been educated through charcoal. That's why you find that the dignitaries rarely lay hands on the environmental measures that are put in place.
Okay, so let's talk about Team Environment Kenya and what you guys do.
Team Environment Kenya is, let me say, is an initiative brought by the founder, Matthew Ochanda, and McLeod Field, who is the coordinator of Central Region. Team Environment Kenya as an initiative, as an organization, we go to places, we plant trees, we make sure that people are living in a clean environment. We just support the environment fully as an organization. Yeah, that's what we do in Team Environment Kenya.
All right, so let's talk about Team Environment Kenya. I've seen Ochanda plants as many trees as he can. What do you tend to achieve with this?
First of all we need is time. And with time, we are going to take back Kenya to where it was. We plant a lot of trees, even recently. Recently, we were in Wajir, invited by the governor personally. We planted trees and we managed to educate people on the environment. We try to make people understand that we can still build something from the plastics. If you can just go ahead to our pages, you can find that we made a very beautiful roundabout using the plastic bottles. That's the nature of beauty in the environment. We have to really start appreciating what we have and stop talking. The recycling thing, I think, is very much overrated. We say we are going to recycle plastics. We take them, we dispose them off. They still come back to where they were. So it's the high time we start taking action of all these. That's why Team Environment Kenya, you can just go to our pages, confirm. We built a very nice roundabout using plastic bottles. And the Team Environment Kenya, the next thing we do is trying to appreciate the beauty of the environment. That's why you see that we use it's also a beauty pageantry. That's why you see that in every country we have Mr. and Miss Team Environment Kenya. Those act as our leaders. They represent us in those counties. Now the next county I think we are going to visit will be Kisii. Yeah.
All right, and as you're moving county to county, do you guys do more monitoring and just to see if the trees you guys planted are still there?
Yes, we do a lot of monitoring. I'm personally a Team Environment member. I'm in Thika, that means I'm in Kiambu County. Yet Ochanda was in Wajir. Ochanda will be heading to Kisii. So it's a matter of taking an individual responsibility. It's not a matter of being pushed. It's something you do as an individual, personally. I am Felix Omondi. I go and see the tree I planted. I make sure it has grown to the height I want, to the years I want. I mean, it's just a matter of appreciating the beauty of the environment. Yeah.
All right, and just a parting shot of, what would be your last words?
My last words will be directly to every individual watching this. We have to start taking action as an individual. You'll see that it's a petty issue for you to cut down a tree, just a tree, but it's affecting several lives in Kenya. The moment you're cutting down a tree, you are not personally doing that. You're not doing it as an individual. You're cutting down a tree here, there's someone cutting it somewhere. And at the end of the day, you'll find out that 1,000 trees are down. That's seriously affecting this country. It's a matter that we start appreciating our environment. That's all I can say. Let's appreciate our environment. It's affecting us. It's a matter that, yeah, at some point, let me say, personally, from where I come from, when I was about 6 years old, it used to rain. It was green, but now it's brown. Even I really wonder. That's why it really pushed me to be an environmentalist, and personally the love of environment is going to push me to the height I really want.
All right, many thanks, Philip, for making time for us. We do appreciate. I'm pretty sure we've learned something, you've learned something about climate change and what you can do back at home. Well, that's all we had for you in today's episode. My name is Anne Mashari. Until next time, stay tuned.